I saw the other day that Mitch McConnell's sister-in-law or something died in a Tesla, and it was like a lot of people were like their sus alarm was going everywhere. They're like, well, Mitch McConnell has ties to China. There's a lot of that stuff that's happening. He married into like a wealthy Chinese family. I think it was like almost like a Chinese mob style family. But I guess the sister-in-law died like in a Tesla. And it was like, well, that seems like a huge setup. And I was like, have you driven in the Bay Area before? Because there's like a 30% chance it's not that just happened. I just want you guys to know that perhaps we just had a little Bay Area driving kind of style thing that happened wherever that happened. I'm just saying, just leave some room, because this whole episode
International at 32nd Avenue in Oakland, California.
Yeah, like because there's like reverse was involved on a Tesla, and I'm like, oh, I've seen some near misses that easily could culminate into what happened there.
From the 5 to the 6, we be in the mix with that rare candy paint job on the whip. I need food for the kids, money for the rent. Fuck a lockdown, baby, I can't do that shit. And I don't never vote, cause I'm fucking broke. And either way, I know the police ain't gon' leave me alone. On a plane by the visit Glen Rock, need crypto, told me I should bring the Glock with me. So I packed up my piece and I'm sliding. Cause we might get caught up in a riot. Middle finger Trump, middle finger Biden. Fuck a left, fuck a right, is you riding? Know you love to see it, dudes rocking. Ain't no politics, baby, we just talking. From the birds to the bricks, we be in the mix with that rare candy paint job on the whip. Who you with?
Now, look, we're going to be talking about all sorts of conspiracy theories and like how people view conspiracy theorists and all that. All that's going to be happening today. And we have Jared Klickstein, and now he's returning to the show. Now we have a lot of new listeners that have come in since then. I want everyone to pause this episode if you haven't already and listen to Skid Row. It was probably 6 months ago at this time, I would think, where that happened, and listen to that episode. You will get Jared's like Joe Dirt origin story of what happened there, and then you can hop into this. I do think that instead of just revisiting all of that, that was such a fun time having you on for that. So we're glad to have you back. A lot's happened in your life since then, professionally.
Because of coming on Rare Candy.
Yeah, no, either you go on Tucker or like everything goes to shit.
Yeah,
like or both. Yeah, I mean it could happen. So you might look Tucker on X is still a possibility for Jared. I think it's gonna happen. You've gone on Fox News, so it's not out of the question.
Yeah. Fox News is not calling me anymore. I'm not bigger things. I think Israel kind of fucked.
Yeah.
Israel kind of took over the news cycle.
So okay, catch us up here. Now you were in Austin last time. You were affected by the writers' strike, is that correct?
Yeah, I work in visual effects, so I was affected by the WGA strike and the SAG strike. Got laid off in July, and I think basically the networks realized we didn't lose any, we stopped making everything. And we didn't lose any money. So we're just kind of going to keep not making a lot of stuff. And there is no boom. Like the strike is over. There's no boom. So I mean, my company went under basically. I don't give a shit, but I'm working in property management now, but.
Are you freaking landlord, dude? Are you freaking landlord now? Are you kidding me?
I work for a landlord. And let me tell you, it's fucking hard to be a landlord.
Is it? Because I've been told because leftists love to say, and like those Maoist people, they love to say like, rent free in your head. And it's like, well, yeah, of course you say that because the worst thing you could ever be is a landlord.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Well, I mean, what's the solution? I mean, the solution is basically we all live in the projects. I don't know what the.
Yeah. Squatters, dude. Squatters' rights, man. Like Bug. We're going to talk about like a movie. We just do that.
I like renting, man. I want to keep renting for a while. Like I have not that I could, but like, you know what I mean? It's if you find a good situation and they're out there, it's the fucking way to go. I think at this point in time.
I do too. I think, but the problem is like Mitch McConnell's wife is my landlord. So
yeah.
So.
Well, say that I want to rent and then I want to build. I don't want to buy. I want to build. That's the next step. Building is the key. That's the
Okay.
way
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, my landlord built a house in Berkeley, and he like poured the foundation, and he learned how to plumb, and he fucking did it. And you can kind of tell he did it, but it's pretty nice, you know.
You can tell he did it.
Yeah, he's my current landlord. You know, I went to Santa Cruz with him. He's my current landlord, and listen, I help him. Like we have to install water heaters, and the fucking HVAC system blows up, and you have to spend $5,000. I mean, it's not the easiest job ever. And also, people can just not pay rent, and then you can't do anything about it.
Especially in California, you know, what those like professional tenants where they're like squatters basically, and you can kind of game the system, and courts are just going to be like, yeah, you're fuck it, you can stay there.
That's like that's like homeless plus package. You know what I mean? It's like you're not like a slumming it off the streets. Like it's the premium. It's, you know, the
people have done it for like $6 million houses too. It's crazy, dude. You can live fat on that.
It's so stupid, dude. It's so dumb. And only California, just because like I mean, people do still have guns out here, but like other states, it's like that gets solved a lot quicker. You know, like out here, it's like there's like the whole like Nathan Fielder curse like strategy of like oh well, okay, do you guys, I mean, maybe like we'll just give you the house after 6 months of squatting ethically, you know, just shit like that. Before we get too far into the hellscape that has become the Bay Area, did you guys see the self-immolation that happened today?
Yes, I did see that,
it's really, of course, like Twitter doesn't handle this well. I immediately was just like, far out, dude. Like, that's what you're gonna do? That's what you're gonna do? I feel like you don't just light yourself on fire. I felt like you were looking for the cause. Like you were always going to light yourself on fire at some point. We're going to be talking about a movie about people who light themselves on fire. So I'm like,
this is kind of nice little synchronicity.
Kind of odd, yeah. Because the guy's name, I don't know. He's trending now. Everyone's gonna have their big opinion on him. Apparently, he was a U.S. Army guy, and he lit himself on fire in protest, and he wanted the ceasefire, right, of Israel and Palestine. Look, I'm for that. It's fine. I think that should be happening. I mean, we've covered it on here. It's all that. I will say, like, even though that's not something I'm heavily invested in, we cover it here and there. I got not bigger things, but things I care about more. Like my big thing is Pfizer, right? My big thing is Moderna, all these companies like that.
Yeah.
Even if like let's just say, like, if Psy was like, yo, bro, like today's the day I'm just gonna fucking Duraflame my shit in front of the fucking Pfizer thing, and I'm just like, what, for real? You know, like, and then I'm like, why don't you just take the Pfizer shot if you want? You know, at that point. But you know,
I inside,
way less dramatic. But no, I just kind of like, it takes a lot, because like imagine if you knew that guy, they'd be like, damn, that dude lit himself on fucking fire, man. Like, like, is it going to lead to anything? I don't know. It's definitely going to raise, you know, some concerns, but I've always just like, that is a special. I'm not even saying it's like don't do that or do that, but I'm like, if you knew that guy, like, you had to have known that he had that dog in him to do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We're going to get you right back to the episode, but I just wanted to let you guys know of a few other things we offer at Rare Candy Industries. We have a Substack with free and paid subscription options. Free subscribers get access to all written content. That includes Bob's Red Pill. That's the best thing going on the internet right now. Trust me. Paid subscribers get full access to our premium episode feed. And that's just every episode we don't necessarily want to share with the general public, if you know what I'm saying. Again, that's rarecandy.substack.com. We also have merch. That link's a little long for me to say right now, but go to the description, go to our merch store, and find a shirt that's right for you. We have Rare Candy shirts, Dr. Bronner soap label shirts, Rishi mushroom shirts, all types of stuff there. Check it out. There's got to be something for you. And lastly, check us out on social media. On Instagram, we're Rare Candy Pod, but on Twitter, we're at Rare Candy Pod 1. All right, enough of that. Let's get you back into the episode.
It worked in the 60s, sort of. I mean, people lit themselves on fire to, you know, protest the Vietnam War.
Made great album covers. I mean, that's why he did it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. That's why. Well, it kind of looked like that because it was a white guy on fire, as opposed to the 60s. I think monks did it.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't know. Listen, man, I'm half Jewish. My family's pissing me off right now. I mean, I know Adam Lehrer came on, and it's like,
yeah,
we have like people in my family that have never been there that are frothing at the mouth. I've never been there, and I subscribe to the Khazarian conspiracy theory. I don't know if you're familiar with the Khazarian theory.
Is that the tits or the?
No, yes, yeah.
Oh, no,
So-
I. Other than that, no, I don't. But you please. Yeah.
Well, I mean, listen, I'm Jewish. Larry David's Jewish. Jerry Seinfeld. We don't look like we come from there.
Right.
You know,
Oh,
why do we not look like we come from there? You know, and there's a theory that, you know, I read a book about it. It was, you know, a real scientist, and basically there was an empire called the Khazarian Empire that sort of at the same time as the Ottoman Empire and the Byzantine Empire, and to create a power dynamic, a balance. Ottomans were obviously Muslim, Byzantines were obviously Christian, so the Khazarian emperor adopted Judaism, which is, you know, Khazaria was the modern day sort of Ukraine, and that's where we all come from. I don't know. It's a pretty cool theory that
do
we're
you
actually.
do you think that? I mean, I guess. And look, like it's not even like how do you? Because I guarantee if he did it for Israel, people on that side would be like so sick that he did that for Israel. It's like this whole thing. I'm like, I'm just looking at a guy lighting himself on fire. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, and like we're gonna forget about this in a week. That's the craziest part. It's
Unless another person does it.
Yeah, that's true.
And
That's
it becomes
true.
like a TikTok thing or something. Yeah, I mean, you got to give him props for it. I mean, he was in the military. He couldn't have been that mentally ill. I think. I hope.
Well, that's why I also think like there's definitely some false flag elements that could be at play there too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like where it's just like, oh, a guy from the military programmed to, you know, like kind of what on one side you could look at that, it like makes it look absurd. Like, look at these absurd people that want to cease fire. They're lighting themselves on fire. These crazy treasonous military men. You know what I mean? Like we need to get those Biden ones where it's like the lunch lady looking guy. Anyways, in the military. But then on the other side, it's just like it's meant to just like be like almost like a certain events that happen, these big attack events that you kind of find out, oh, that all started in like a Discord server. Interesting. Not ours. It's not ours, but I just start to think about those type of things where I'm just like, that's weird. We haven't had somebody light themselves on fire in a long time. Like it's a weird thing to bring back, you know, like it was a weird one to bring back. So I just look, it happened today. I don't have that much information, but
today or yesterday.
How do we know? Did he leave like a note or a video vlog or something?
He vlogged it.
He vlog. God,
damn, I think he set up a phone.
Wow.
And well, he was talking to the phone, and then he put the phone down, and then he dumped gasoline on himself. And
I'm fascinated by the physics of that morbidly. Just how quick does it happen? What if you fuck up? What if you don't?
Was it just a Samsung? Was it just a Samsung moment?
Yeah. That's the thing. What if your battery dies before the fucking?
Dude, I wasn't trying to do any of this. Yeah. I was just trying to make a vlog.
Well, it's very eerie because he's screaming "Free Palestine" through the flames, and you can hear the sound being muted sort of by the flames.
Was it real? Do we have to ask? We have fucking AI, Jared. Now, I mean, was it like this is the type of things like I'm not trying to be insensitive. Of course, we process death and stuff. It's sad. I mean, it's like really sad because like, what if that's your family? Like, what if it's your family? Like, you know the guy, or even like somebody you like hung out with. You're just like, damn, dude, like that sucks ass. You know, that somebody would do something like that. But it's just everybody just like abstracts like the cause from it, which I always feel like is so much less humane than like what we're doing right now is where people are like, well, he did it for Palestine. It's like, all right, but he like died.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's just
you wouldn't want him to die in vain, would you? It's like, well, I didn't want him to die.
Well, he died, so it doesn't matter what my take is on it because he's not gonna. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's a weird. It's just so weird. I went on and it was just the typical thing, like, you know, all I hear, all these words that people sling at each other where I'm like, I don't, okay, whatever, dude. Like, this is a reaction to somebody lighting themselves on fire. That's like really mainly what it is. So it's like we tend to like abstract things so far from like what they actually are when it's like, oh no, a guy lit himself on fire. Like, that's crazy. Like if Bud Dwyer happened today, right? The shooting yourself thing. Like, people would have so many other takes other than like, damn, that dude fucking shot himself.
Yeah. Well, everyone would see it. I mean, if you ask the majority of Americans who Bob Dwyer was, I don't think most people would even know who he was.
No, I could bring it up in front of a lot of people. I just know because that's like half the people that follow this our podcast have that as their Avi. So the
Yeah.
guy with the gun in his mouth. So I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, may do with that information what you will.
Well,
But
what's interesting is Shane Gillis said that he would Bob Dwyer or Bud Dwyer if he
Bud
ever
Dwyer, yeah.
hosted SNL 5 years ago, and he ended up hosting SNL, and he didn't Bud Dwyer, but one of the characters on one of the sketches had the last name of Dwyer, which I would hope that he put that into the writer's room.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane. Yeah. That's insane. So Jared, you're back on. I love talking California with you. I want to, this time of year after California, when it rains, I have this appreciation for the state because it's so green, so beautiful. I mean, gorgeous day. Today was all right, but yesterday was just like, oh my gosh, this is like straight up heaven. Like, but then it also makes me sad because I know what's happening to the state, to the Bay Area, to Silicon Valley. And now you moved back up to the Bay Area.
Yeah, I moved to Oakland.
You have, and like I said in the last episode, we talked about some of your escapades in Oakland. You're in a different headspace now. I think it's fair to say than your last.
Last crack cocaine.
So, there you go. Yeah, he's not doing that stuff. So, what are your thoughts coming back? I mean, how like weird was it? I love to hear from people who like move here with kind of similar outlook that we have. Whereas where it's like you don't notice somebody that gets fat if you see them every day.
Yeah.
But if you see them like once a month, you're like, oh shit, dude. Yeah.
No, it was a total like culture shock. I haven't lived here in 10 years. And most recently I was living in Texas, and, I got a little bit of like news brain, and I got a little bit propagandized about, California's burning and you get shot right when you drive into town. And so I was really scared, and I hate to admit this. I arrived and I was pretty fucking scared, and I wanted a weapon, and I bought like one of those sticks that you can, like the cops have. And I was like, it took like 3 weeks. And then I realized like, okay, it was a really pathetic moment, but I was like, okay, you're not going to like instantly get shot if you step outside in Oakland, but it is fucked up, and it's different. I mean, there's a lot of like new construction and new kind of hip storefronts, and a lot of the places that I grew up with are gone. And so it like looks nice in a certain way where there's like these new signs for these new businesses, but at the same time, there's like graffiti everywhere. There's like land pirates, like these Nissan Altimas driving around with no license plates with like 4 teenagers in there. And you're like, what the fuck are you up to? And they look at you, and, they're just looking for people I mean, there's armed robberies right by my house, almost on a daily basis. And I don't live in like a bad neighborhood. So I noticed that. I was like, and people just drive through red lights. There's no traffic laws anymore. It's kind of fucking nuts, but in some ways it's nicer because there's like new shitty construction everywhere.
There's a lot of work for our type of people. Yeah. I mean, it's strange. It is really strange when you'll be like building the next great gray shoebox apartment complex, which I always think is funny. It's always going to be that color because it's such a melting pot that like you're just like, what's going to be the thing that everyone hates?
Yeah,
a gray building.
Well, they built them all by like West Oakland. See, Oakland went through a renaissance in the 2010s, and it was kind of getting nice, and property shot up, and they built like luxury apartments by West Oakland BART. And who the fuck is going to like fill a luxury building by West Oakland BART? I mean, it's not a good area, and
that's such a crazy station.
Isn't that's not the Fruitvale one, right? Or like
no, but that one's crazy too.
Well,
they're all fucking
like by the port. I used to live right by the West Oakland BART station, and I got robbed at gunpoint by a guy in a wheelchair there, and like not that's like terribly scary, but
you wouldn't want to be ableist and not give up.
I know. I knew him though, so we like talked about, but I bought heroin from him. And he fronted me, and it was really bad heroin, so I refused to pay him back forever. And then he pulled a gun on me, and then I walked away because he was in a wheelchair.
Oh, yeah, you just click the brake kind of thing. Yeah.
But no, so this is what I love though, is like I went to UC Santa Cruz with like a bunch of rich kids from San Diego and Los Angeles, and obviously when they graduated, they wanted to like LARP as poor people, so they moved to Oakland, and then they got their like little jobs. And their parents gave them the down payment for the house in like Diamond District or Fruitvale. So they bought these houses in East Oakland for like $800,000 or $900,000, and now they're worth like $500,000. So I'm very happy. Very happy about that.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, it's this, you know, for anybody who's not from here, I guess we like the thing you see when you see like these videos of like, you know, Jesse Waters, any of these guys, there will always be this kind of like panoramic view of like shit in the streets and like trash bags off the side of the highway burning trash, and they'll be like San Francisco in Biden's America.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, like, you know, San Francisco, I've gone recently, and there's always a lot of the stuff is true. However, you can still have a really, really good time in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Like I do. It happens, like, you know, all the cool Fort Point areas, Little Italy, all these like beautiful old cathedrals. I mean, it's still so much of the old San Francisco there that, like, even when you hop into like the weird tech stuff by the stadiums, it's kind of like, okay, once you get out of there, you're like, okay, this is San Francisco. This I remember this. This is great. Yeah. And you know, Mrs. Doubtfire asks, like, San Francisco is still really cool.
Oh yeah.
And then there's a lot of Mrs. Doubtfires in San Francisco too. But otherwise, there's a lot of that. Yeah, there's also that. There's more than probably that era than when the movie is. But but Oakland is the true. And I want to be, I love the city of Oakland. I am a fan. I'm a fan of all three sports teams that used to reside there. It's very sad. You sent a picture. I don't know if you sent it to me, but you just posted it. And it was all three of, it was like this relic of like Lovecraftian, like somebody dusting off a book and seeing the relic of the three things that used to be there, the A's, Raiders, and Warriors. And I was just like, holy shit, they're all gone. Well, the A's are there, but they're effectively gone. And it's like, Oakland is the real, like, Escape from New York kind of, you know, weird town that people just aren't talking about. And you're going to talk about how we got there, and you kind of alluded to it a bit with these kind of, you know, Nathan Fielder, Emma Stone type incarnate people coming in and trying to rule with empathy almost. But when you roll with empathy, it pretty much is apathy. I think, like, after a while, like, you kind of just don't care if it goes to shit because you were ethical about it. Yeah. And talk about that a little bit, about it, because you floated this thing to me about these kind of like these rich, like, quasi leftist people, kids that eventually try to take hold in Oakland.
Well, sure. So, you know, San Francisco is obviously like the hot topic for the last year or two. It's like the biggest shithole of all time. And in reality, it's still, in my opinion, the most beautiful city in America.
It's great.
I'd say, you know, there's 3 or 4 neighborhoods that are completely fucked. But then the rest of it is absolutely amazing. The Mission has been completely gentrified by homeless people and criminals, not gentrification as you would imagine it to be, but it's just been gentrified by crazy ass tweakers. And no one seems to give a shit about that form of gentrification. I mean, this is a cultural landmark of Hispanic culture, and it's, you know, it's been destroyed. So anyway, the sleeper hit was Oakland. I mean, because Oakland is sort of always in the tail of San Francisco. I mean, it's always kind of like, you know, it's really the suburb of San Francisco. And San Francisco has a homeless and drug problem. Oakland, the last couple of years, it has a crime problem, and it turns out crime is a lot more scary than homeless people. Homeless people are actually relatively, for the most part, harmless. I'm a you know, in case anyone doesn't know, I was a homeless person in the Tenderloin and on Skid Row, and I was like a, you know, havoc on society, but I wasn't. I mean, I didn't hurt anybody, you know.
Except that guy in the wheelchair with the heroin.
Well, I didn't hurt him. I just walked away from him, you know. But
you walked away. I think that might have sent a weird message, you know.
No, he was missing a leg, and he went to prison. His name was Kenny, and he lost his leg in prison, and he had a lawsuit going, and he's dead now. I actually can confirm that with somebody.
Wow.
But so this is what happens in Oakland. So San Francisco is a city that has a culture like New York City almost, where it's like, there's a lot of boss girls that are gonna, you know, get their shit going in San Francisco. There's people with dreams in San Francisco, and you can make good money in San Francisco and all that. So if sort of like the more loserish sort of people were like, well, I'll just end up in Oakland where it's a little cheaper and you can do the warehouse art scene or whatever. And so it sort of got, I would call it colonized by like millennial leftists mostly white. And what's interesting, if you look at the last election, is that, the majority of black people in Oakland voted for a man named Lauren Taylor. Lauren Taylor was a black man that ran for mayor. Pretty, he's a liberal guy, pretty moderate. I've met him. He seems pretty chill to me. And if you look at the hills of Oakland, they also voted for Lauren Taylor. So what's the similarity between the people that live in the hills of Oakland and the black communities that live in East Oakland is that they own their houses and they've been there for a long time.
Right.
So what parts of Oakland voted for Sheng Tao, our current mayor? It was mostly Temescal, North Oakland, a little bit of West Oakland, the places that all the leftists, all the white leftists moved into.
Well, and let's be real, I'm not slinging any mud, but like Sheng Tao, look at the name. Okay. Yeah. There have always been people who move from the East, the world East, that come over, and they don't know what Oakland used to be. Yeah. They don't know what any of this stuff used to be. So it's easy for somebody like that to take power because look, the Bay Area has always been a place where a lot of Asian immigrants have started. And there's been lots of great businesses built there and all that stuff. But for the most part, it's that always felt like an identity politics type election, right?
Yeah. Well, the Asian community certainly supported Sheng Tao during the election. And they are turning on her greatly because what a lot of Asian people do is own businesses.
Yeah.
Own small businesses. And they're getting wrecked. I mean, they are getting wrecked. I interviewed a Palestinian commercial insurance salesman who was a self-described social justice warrior. This was not a right-wing conspiracy theorist. This was a very progressive guy. But he said, we have a problem. We have a huge problem when current commercial insurance rates for inventory at supermarkets went from 50 cents per $1,000 of inventory sold to $50 per $1,000 of inventory. I mean, the commercial insurance, industry is basically trying to 86 Oakland, and they're just giving these insane rates just to kind of get out of Oakland. And
right.
It's saying it's going to crash the economy within a year of Oakland, whatever's left. I mean, there's not a huge economy in Oakland. There's not big businesses. It really relies upon San Francisco, and COVID sort of laptopped the whole fucking industry. And a lot of people didn't have to live in, San Francisco or Oakland. I mean, Oakland is completely reliant upon the economy of San Francisco traditionally. Mm-hmm. So we're in a really bad place where Sheng Tao comes in, and then we have Pamela Price, and obviously, they're both up for a recall. Pamela Price is the DA. But it's so much deeper. It's just so much fucking deeper than we saw in San Francisco, they recalled Chesa Boudin, and it's just so much deeper because you get a decent DA. And I've met the DA of San Francisco. She's cool. People call her far right, but she was disappointingly liberal when I met her. And
well, that's far right.
All these incredibly quote unquote far right extremists in San Francisco are always disappointingly shit-lib they
literally will not elect a far right person.
They would never do
you go outside, when you go to San Francisco, at no point are you gonna, people think Dirty Harry got elected. When that happened, and he's just shooting black dudes at hot dog stands and stuff. No, it's an absolutely preposterous to suggest that, and it's really a bastardization of that's one thing that I think progressives do more than anything is make words mean nothing, but then they also put a premium on the new meaning of the word, to where if you don't fall in line with whatever the new Simon Says definition that they've said, where basically if you're just a regular Democrat, you're a far right person. It's I'm sorry, the taxes would suggest otherwise. It's just, I'm sorry. I look at when I look at my pay stub, I don't go, oh man, far right. The far right politicians that are taking this weird, taking 50% of what I mean. I mean, it's crazy. For people to say that, it's such a cope. I think it's to create this enemy. It's always we would have got away with it if it wasn't for these meddling kids Scooby-Doo thing, where it's we always have to make this far right boogeyman for when the progressive policy fails.
Yeah, well, that is their strategy. I mean, these people are certainly not far right. I'm not far right. I'm not saying
no, me neither. Yeah,
Mussolini or anything. Although I've met some liberals older that have said, you know, the only solution is to get Mussolini or Hitler for 3 months, which is like, you know, I don't support that, but I've heard people say that. They're like, that's the only thing I could imagine saving this place. But so, you know, so anyway, there's so many layers. Like you get Brooke Jenkins, who's like more of a moderate liberal as DA of San Francisco, but then it turns out all the judges are like incredibly, you know, lenient on crime. And so if you have a tough DA, it doesn't really do anything if the judges won't sentence anybody. So, you know, there's some judges up for re-election this year. There's just a lot of layers in terms of, and then the police are basically silently protesting in at least Oakland for sure. I don't know about San Francisco really, but in Oakland, you can't pursue a criminal if they run. I mean, the police aren't allowed to pursue them.
Yeah.
No car chases, nothing like that.
Crazy.
They will not respond to anything unless someone is actively getting murdered or raped. Basically, that is pretty much the policy. My friend, who's very wealthy, he sells insurance, I believe, bought around $2 million house in Oakland, which is, you know, I love him, but that's insane.
Yeah.
He pays $30,000 in property tax every year.
How many bedrooms does that house have?
I'm guessing 3 or 4.
Oh, that's actually more than I
3,
thought. But
maybe.
yeah, that's
But his house has been broken into twice, and on the second, you know, but both times police didn't come because he called after it happened, and they won't check in on that. And then the second time, they make you like go online and talk to like someone in like a person in a different country or whatever, like a tech.
Wow.
And he finally got a hold of someone, and they said, we recommend that you barricade your front door with steel. And he's pay $30,000 in property taxes every year. You know, that's what you're telling me on the second time my house gets broken into.
That's so insane, man. Like, and I see the problem I have with people in the Bay Area is I encounter those same people that are like, look, we got to fucking do something about this. Like the crime is insane, like catalytic converters, all these like crazy things. Like you'll see these like 94 Toyota Camrys that sound like sports cars because they don't have a catalytic converter and they can't get one and stuff. And just constantly operating off of like a fix-it ticket. I don't even think the cops pursue the catalytic converter thing anymore unless they think you stole it or something, or stole the car. Like it's like otherwise they don't. And I don't know, like, what is the end game for this? Like, is there a true demolition of Oakland? Like, does Oakland 100 years from now, do we look back and say, wow, San Francisco expanded? That used to be a city called Oakland.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you get out of this. You could go Berkeley route. I mean, Berkeley is right next to Oakland, and Berkeley is Berkeley is the most progressive city in America, probably.
Yeah.
But Berkeley has a thing where people like care about Berkeley, and there's like blue blood Berkeley people, and you know, there's a lot of pride and there's a lot of NIMBY shit going on with Berkeley, which is surprising because it's very progressive.
Not in my backyard. Yeah, no low income housing, please. Yeah. Like right here. Yeah.
Yeah. And the biggest thing is that Berkeley has UC Berkeley, which, you know, you know how many people from like China go to UC Berkeley or India that are like rich kids from other countries. So the police are on it in Berkeley. I mean, you can't have a dead like Chinese kid from a diplomat or something dead in UC Berkeley. So they take care of Berkeley. They really do. And the homeless there they're like homeless guys that like play chess and shit. They're not like on you know, it's like it's a totally different homeless scene in Berkeley too.
Very different.
Oakland is fucking and this is a theory, is that like I used to live I was homeless in Oakland. I used to buy drugs in Oakland, and a really good job opportunity for like hood kids was to sell drugs.
Right.
And I think the cartel has really edged them out of that, and they've basically outsourced all street level dealing to Honduran gangs. So now, like, if you're like a young kid in East Oakland, like, you know, you're not getting access to that fentanyl. Like that fentanyl is getting sold strictly in San Francisco by Honduran gangs under the direction of the Mexican cartel. So I think a lot of young kids are like, damn, we can't really make a killing selling drugs anymore. So what's there left to do? There's crime. And guess what? Then this is what's so unfair is like the DA has basically made it clear that if you're under 25, you're not going to prison if you pull a gun on somebody and rob them. So there's all these kids that may be poor, or they live in the hood, but maybe they're smart. Maybe they could go to a trade school, make a good living. Right. Maybe they're scholastic, but the other kids are dragging them into a life of crime because crime pays here. Yeah. And there's no consequences. So it's actually fucking over these communities.
When were you homeless in Oakland?
I was homeless in Oakland in 2012.
Okay.
And then again in 2014, but more car homeless in 2014.
Yeah. Okay.
Car homeless. Yeah, there's a difference.
Yeah.
I was like semi-homeless in Berkeley in 2014 for
we might have
like yeah, I don't know. It was more it was fun. You know, it was more like it was Berkeley, you know, it was like you said, it was like playing chess and fucking with the
yeah.
Joke man, you know, the homeless guy that would sell jokes, and you know, it was like they were part of the community, like these homeless people, whereas homeless people in San Francisco, and listen, like people want to argue about this. It's like you go to San Francisco and you see these people, and there's like 22-year-olds that have like scabs all over their face, and it's like, yo, this is like a public health emergency. And I don't know where this kid's from. I don't think he's from San Francisco. Like people are attracted to that city for the benefits that it offers for fentanyl addicts.
100%.
That's not like an inappropriate thing to say. I mean, that's like, but people will argue with you about that shit.
No, again, anybody that really tries to like make that their thing, that we're kind of just overdoing it with like what it looks like, or you just hate homeless people. It's like, okay, you've already tattled on yourself that you don't encounter this ever. Because there's no way a human being can go through Oakland, parts of San Francisco, but mainly like Oakland, and see that and just be like, yeah. And I'm somebody I've lived 33 years here, like in this area. I work all around the Bay Area. I've seen everything. I see the richest places. I see the poorest places. And there's certain things, there's certain like landmarks and constants that you don't see anymore. Like I don't see the like nice businesses. Like I don't see any business in Oakland. It's so weird. I went to Jack London Square for my mom's birthday. Beautiful restaurant called Scott's Seafood on the port, on the water. Amazing place. That place was fine. It's like this time capsule kind of place. But it was a Memorial Day weekend, Jack London Square on a Saturday, and you could hear a pin drop. Like nobody is going out. Even I can imagine even people that like move there to like do tech and stuff. They don't. I feel like they're there almost like in a different way than not to like be part of the city, but to just kind of like, you know, exist in like a little drawer of an apartment complex and just do their job and never really leave. And you just see, all you do is you just see like random, you know, DoorDash people walking around like frantically looking at like apartment numbers, and then you see just like fentanyl addicts out there. That's like I mean, you know, that's pretty much all you see. And it's really strange because like I almost take the Whitney Webb pill. I mean, I do, but like with Oakland, where it's like, okay, the only business that I've seen move to Oakland, major tech business, because I think that's what they thought when they were getting rid of all the sports teams, was like, oh, we'll just make it this big tech hub. You know, we don't need these sports teams. The only company I've seen move there is Jack Dorsey's company. It was called Square. It's called something else now. But it's like the kind of contactless pay, you know, those little white things that you put your card into and stuff.
Okay, good for them. Yeah. Okay.
Well, what does that tell you? That's like that is the most like CBDC company ever. Like it's the only one that's moving to Oakland. So you see these small businesses that are just getting robbed at will. A lot of those small businesses, especially the Asian owned ones, they carry cash. They carry cash, and that's why they get robbed. Yeah. So if I wanted this to become this like bottom out, but then turn into like this society if meme where everything is contactless and you know, all this stuff, like you need it to bottom out first. And Jack Dorsey moving there, I'm like, that's strange to me. Like the being a guy just be like, I gotta go set up shop there. And he's, you know, trying to do his best to help the community. I see all these things. He's like buying computers for kids and stuff, but I'm kind of like, I don't know. You got something else at play here? Like,
yeah, this could be like a breeding ground for like, let's test out full collapse. I think so. I think so. I mean, listen, Oakland used to have like such there was this real renaissance period, and there were so many good restaurants, and it was pretty peaceful. I've never seen like race related. I mean, I grew up, people just like got along no matter what race you were, and like you could
Right.
rap. And there was like white kids rapping, there was black kids rapping, there was Mexican, Asian. It was this really,
Saying all the lyrics.
yeah, you guys know all about it. So it was this like beautiful place with like amazing food and these little small businesses that have been there forever on like, you know, Grand Lake Theater and all that, and Genova Delicatessen, and so now you see all these like new signs of businesses, but they're like half open, and like no one's going in there, and everything's all fucked up. And I don't know what the fuck's going to happen here. I mean, the port is obviously, it's a huge port that probably keeps Oakland alive, but it's kind of just gotten destroyed by like, and then there's all these like sort of the cursed type people where they're like, we're going to move to, because this is the thing, like if someone talks about gentrification, they're most likely a gentrifier.
Right.
You know, like I've never, you know, I've never heard a white guy that lives in like Benicia talk about gentrification. You know, it's like white people that literally live in East Oakland.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
so,
it's a college term that was basically like that was deployed on us in the 2010s. And you almost wonder, look, I understand that there are parts of it where it's like, okay, why are we building this thing that displaces all the people that are there, like, you know, hardworking people. Like you saw it happen a lot. I've been 10 years ago, you know, a lot of people had to move to the valley, like Stockton and stuff, like a lot of people, like Oakland natives and stuff. It's like it got too expensive. They sold high. They moved out to Stockton, Tracy, these places that are now becoming cities, but at the time was just like you want to talk about Methville, like those places, like it was wild, and it just kind of became like almost another Oakland for a while. But but I understand when people are like, well, yeah, but you can't just like displace people like that. And like, yeah, but the worst part is when it goes reverse, when the bottomed out people are basically allowed to run free in the city and terrorize people that have been there forever while being propped up by the curse types.
Yeah.
The Nathan Fielders and Emma Stones, because that's how you have to, none of this works if nobody's meant to feel guilty about doing something about it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, cause it's like, what are you going to put on your clan hood? You're going to put on your clan hood. It's like, well, I don't know. We've had Seneca Scott on this program. And that dude doesn't seem like he's in the Ku Klux Klan, despite some of his critics.
Like
yeah.
I've been to his house. He's got like, was it Langston Hughes autograph on the wall and black shit everywhere. He's a cool dude. He's a wild guy. But yeah, man, but people call him a gentrifier because it's like, well, he's not born in Oakland, and it's like, where the fuck were you born? You know, like, a lot of these people weren't born in Oakland, but
I'm coming here to do communism. So
well, it's a great place to do communism. So that's you know, that's basically the whole deal, was like from the Santa Cruz to Oakland communism pipeline. Oh man. And you know, I don't, but it's just, you know, those people sold high. First of all, rent is like dropping. I mean, I work for a landlord. He couldn't fill any, you know, he was having a lot of trouble filling things. He's just rented something for like less than 70% of what he was renting it for in 2018. You know, like shit. And he's happy about it because he's not like a greedy fuck. He's like, I want people to be able to live, you know. Right. But I don't know. I wouldn't like. Imagine living in the most expensive place ever, and there's like armed robberies, and essentially the school system doesn't exist. It's like a non-existent school system. It's unbelievable, you know. And I just came from Austin, where like you can get a house for like, you know, it blew up, but you can still get a house for $400,000, $350,000. Yeah. And there's thousands of people out having a good time.
Yeah. Know? No, I totally know what you're saying, and like for me, it's just there's an online people that are from all over. You don't know where these people are from. These online people that are reacting to like a crime video, like it's like a Sports Center highlight or something. Yeah. They're like, well, this is actually what happened here. And they get their little John Madden pen out and tell you exactly that it's a product of material conditions. And even though I know nothing about this, I am an epic Maoist, communist, anti-landlord guy. So you must defer to me because I've read the most things. Yeah. And there's those people are saying like this whole thing's a psyop. I even like, it's weird when you talk to like libs who like, you know, I'm in the South Bay. So like there's it's like that over here, but we're not quite there yet. And there's a lot of people that are very like Democrat, especially people in like my family and stuff. And they'll be like, oh, when you say like, oh man, I just went to like, San Francisco, I worked in San Francisco the other day, like that, tenderloin, it's even worse than it ever was. And they're like, oh yeah, Fox News will just love that. I'm like, well, okay. I mean, like, if they are setting traps to get boomers all riled up and like to vote, like why fall into them? And to me, it's like they're what you're supposed to do. And that's not what these Democrats do, but like the actual online, like leftist hammersickle communists, whenever like your car gets smashed in, like I see all these clubs now on the cars now, like we're back to like the 90s car.
Yeah, we got clubs.
Yeah, we're back. And there's all type, whenever that happens, like a chair gets thrown through the window of the small business and it gets looted. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to go, God, I wish we had communism. Like you're supposed to do that in their mind. You're supposed to go, okay, I'm not mad. I wish we had communism. And it's supposed to accelerate. It's weird. It's almost like everybody wants it to collapse. Whereas for me, I'm just like, I just kind of want it to return. And it's a debate whether that can ever happen. Can you put the cat back in the bag? I don't think you can. But I'm kind of like, okay, I remember 2007. I remember 2010. Perhaps we were on a sharp decline, but I think COVID really accelerated everything. And I think everybody thought COVID was going to bring this epic communism. Not everybody, but these people that were proponents of the lockdowns and stuff, they thought everybody was going to watch a collapse happen and then go, we need, this, and this, and everyone's going to love it. All these old people who've been living in Oakland forever, they're going to want like this hardcore, like leftism. And it's not the case. Most of those times that people go like, man, I wish the cops were allowed to do their jobs. That's what those people say. If you think I'm lying about that, you are denying reality.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's incredibly expensive here. So the argument that it's a result of, economic issues. I mean, sure. I mean, I'm sure,
Oh, there is. Yeah, there's definitely that.
But, listen, that there are jobs here. I mean, if you work at a restaurant, you can make $25-30 an hour.
Yeah.
If you're a plumber, you can make $200 an hour here. There's opportunity here. And especially with labor. I mean, if you know how to do some plumbing or some electrical work or something, you can make a killing out here. But I just think when you basically legalize property crime, you are going to get property crime, and I don't want
fair.
I don't want to be like, listen, I read this book in jail called Chief about the chief of Los Angeles from the Watts riots up until OJ. And then he retired. So he was like the chief of LAP, or he was in the LAPD for like the craziest period of time. And, he describes the 80s and getting the batting rams and batting, down doors of crack houses and getting SWAT. I mean, he was like, that got too fucking crazy. I get it. But I don't know. It's like, you can't just do like the exact opposite of that.
Well, and then even if you're a citizen, right? And I'm not, and look, there's people that, you got to do the Charles Bronson, like death wish. It's like, no, all right, that's LARP. That's a LARP. But like, even the, like stopping somebody from getting like mugged on a train, like you might get caught with the insane, everybody having portable cameras in their pockets, essentially, that they're on all the time. Like you could get caught up and something could get spliced in a way that looked like you were abusing somebody in that way. Like there is this weird paranoia of like optics all the time, thinking about optics. It's like, well, if this guy looks so, you could bring out your like Family Guy paint swatch and you're like, well, this guy looks like, this guy, if I'm this color and I do this, like I could people, it's sadly it's a thing now, rather than just good and bad like that, which was never an issue until, I don't know, 10 years ago at the earliest. It's just it's a very strange thing that we live in. And you mentioned the trades. The trades, I notice from, I'm again, right-wing people bother me too, especially about labor, because I'm always just like, okay, well, what do you want to, what is your goal? Because they're all the Ben Shapiro like learn to code thing that has been happening for a long time. People still are on that, and they're just like, they'll be like, young white men need to like learn how to code. And they get mad sometimes when you tell people to get into the trades. These are kind of like the suit and tie like Republican guys. I mean, I think there's definitely some like traditional down home, like, conservative leaning people that think men need to do skilled labor and things. I just see it from a lot of the talking heads, like Daily Wire types. It's like, well, we don't want young white men doing these backbreaking jobs. Like, and I'm like, okay, so what is your stance on immigration then? Because if somebody's going to come in and do that job, and that's why that industry, it does pay well, but there are a lot of weird loopholes and constant undercutting, and our unions stink now, so it's not like it was, so it's kind of easy to skirt around that. I'm like, well, all right, I think there's plenty of people here to do plenty of jobs, like in the country. I don't think we have that. I just think there's a lot of people that got used to 2020, got used to that lifestyle. Maybe perhaps moved back in with their parents. I think that happened a lot too. So maybe the rent thing isn't much of a thing. But like I don't think men should go out and do road construction. I don't think that should be your goal in life. But if a few goals have failed in your life, as mine did for sure, it's not a bad gig to get into. That's just my take on the trades and stuff like that. I'm like, if everyone learns to code, then what? Okay, what? Then you make the tech that films me fucking saving somebody on the subway, but it looks like I'm doing a hate crime.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I'd rather you build something. Like I'd rather, if that's what you're good at, you should pursue that. Like, that's the way I look at it.
And it's not like super backbreaking. All the trades aren't super backbreaking. I mean, my dad was in the Carpenters Union. He made $51 an hour in 1997.
Ooh. And
he didn't let me touch his tools growing up because he was like, "You're not going to be a poor working class piece of shit like me." and
$51 an hour in 1997. Yeah.
He's like, "You're going to make $300 an hour." He just like assumed like, well, if I make $51 an hour, like an accountant makes $350 an hour. So
gotta love them. Gotta love that generation, man. You just gotta love. I mean, I love them. They're great, but their view on, if they're not like currently at the job that they were at, like they lose sight of like what that industry has become. Like it's just it's odd, it's odd. I don't have like the answers, but I notice all these people like with these really like declarative statements, and I'm like, you're not here, you don't know what this is. Like I don't tell you what you should do in the Midwest. I don't tell you what you should do in this city over here because I haven't been there. Yeah, like I for me, it's like I know what this place should look like. I know what it once looked like. I was alive when it was, I mean, perhaps, look, we were here for the 2008 crash, but everybody got affected by that. It wasn't just something in the Bay Area. It was like, I remember how it used to be. I remember like a vibrant, happier world. It's not just my millennial nostalgia, which is another weird psyop people like to bring onto you when you remember that something used to be a certain way, which is why I think constant just not checking who's coming in and out of this country, it does help, because nobody remembers what things used to be. Nobody remembers that 10 years ago that used to be that. And so yeah, I think that's all I have to say about that. But the trades, I'm like, look, if you don't have anywhere else to go, like it's probably the best thing you can do. And we do need good people in the trades. Like we don't need just people like there's no disrespect to people that come from like other countries, but like there should be people here doing those jobs. It just should be like no other country is like, we should have Americans come do this. Like no, it's like that's not a winning strategy. I mean, it is for certain people, but it's not for us, not for the people that live here. It's no hate on anything. Like I work with everybody under the sun. Like there's good people and bad people, and there's not really like a pattern to it. But it's just when you have this like ever changing thing that's always happening, nobody seems to notice like the actual decline unless you've been here forever.
Yeah.
So
that's part of my goal. I mean, I want these homeless people. I want to like these homeless guys in San Francisco. I think they should like build these long-term treatment centers and basically teach them how to do trades.
For sure.
Because I went to a free rehab and they let me get a job when I lived there. And I'm a cabinet maker, or I was a cabinet maker. So I right off the bat, I was making $25 an hour, whereas everyone else got out and worked at like Chipotle and made $12 an hour. And, it changed my life, that I had this like nest egg when I left I had like $4,000 when I left, and it put me on, and I stayed sober, put me on this path where I was like, I felt worthy. I enjoyed going, everyone was coming back to the rehab. Like I fucking made 1,900 burritos today. I feel like a piece of shit. And I was making cool ass cabinets and doing kitchens and shit. And that's the way out, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, it's you're right.
From the 5 to the 6, we be in the mix. With that red candy paint job on the whip. I need food for the kids, money for the rent. Fuck a lockdown, baby, can't do shit.
Last thing I want to talk about tonight was a movie that I wanted to talk about with Jared because it's well, it kind of fits everything we were talking about at the beginning. 2006, William Friedkin, rest in peace. William Friedkin, we lost him within the last calendar year. One of the best of all time, in my opinion, directors. And anytime a great director dies, it kind of, I'd rather lose a California Condor. Personally, like, truly, like, because you're like, we got nothing else. Like, there's like nobody that's gonna even get close or even have the same passion. But William Friedkin made a movie. It's one of his lesser known films, but in my opinion, very good. It's called Bug. Came out in 2006. Stars Ashley Judd, Michael Shannon, Harry Connick Jr. And I think there's 5 people. There's 5 people in the movie. It's based off a famous play by Tracy Letts. It's Friedkin would later do in my opinion, a better adaptation called Killer Joe, which is a wild one. Great I'm surprised nobody comes at Matthew McConaughey for that one. For like the new age fans, the new age like Zoomer fans that think movies are real. You know, like because he does some shit in that movie that is like off the hook. Like he's a wild boy in that one.
Skated in. It was like 2012 or something. He just skated right before that line.
Amazing, a great movie. The two absolutely great. Gina Gershon, great movie. But they're very similar. Like they're very kind of like trashy, like kind of trashy environment, falling apart houses and motels. But to set the scene for Bug, Ashley Judd plays a woman who. She looks a little weathered and everything. It's not how you normally see her in movies, at least not at the beginning of them. And she is working at a lesbian bar. She kind of seems like one of those lesbians that's like, I'm just over men, you know, like, and then eventually doesn't last. And then, but she has a friend named RC, which is kind of funny. She has a friend who brings home this guy, Peter. As you do, you just bring home a guy, and he's quirked up. This guy, I mean, it's a classic Michael Shannon role, and Michael Shannon immediately, I think he like smashes their smoke detector, and he finds bugs. He finds bugs, and or does he? We never see them, but he finds what he calls aphids. In the sheets, and it all goes crazy from there. And they try to decide, are there bugs in the house? How do we keep them out? Harry Connick Jr. is the ex-boyfriend of the Ashley Judd character, and he's kind of the sane one. It's just kind of odd, like in there, because he's not a very good person, but he's also just kind of like the guy who's just like, well, I'm just going to be regular if you guys are going to do this bug stuff. But before we go on, what did everyone think of this? Sai, this was your first time watching it. I'd like to know your thoughts.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it was better than the reviews it got online, for sure. Totally. I looked up at that, and you should never do that, you know, by the way. But yeah, it was great. Very, like a Scanner Darkly type thing, kind of. I loved it. Yeah, I love shit like this. And it kept escalating too, which was crazy. And the final scene, don't want to spoil it, but just the color scheme and everything that was going on was really
we're gonna spoil it. We're gonna spoil it because I do think that it's so it's strange to watch. I like movies that are made by people who probably disagree with me. I love William Friedkin. He's like a straight up like staunch asshole. Like that's always if you listen to his 2-part interview on Bret Easton Ellis is amazing, to where he starts weeping at the end. Like weeping, crying, talking about mass shootings and stuff. It's very strange. And which is funny because Bret Easton Ellis's anytime he talks to somebody for the first time, he asks them what they think of the Eagles, the group. But he kind of skips it that time because like William Friedkin's crying about a mass shooting and he doesn't want to be like, so what do you think of the Eagles? But William Friedkin is definitely kind of, Democrat. I think he's like a old, kind of like older style Democrat. Definitely like the kind of Democrat that would like say the N-word like as a thing, like to read a book, like I'm gonna say it because like those type of. He's definitely that type of Democrat that's pretty much extinct nowadays. And I think this movie is about how like normies see conspiracy theorists, or like what they think of, like when they find out somebody is into like the Bilderberg group conspiracy or like 9/11 stuff, or even just like really like entry level conspiracies. They think that you live like bug because we never see the bugs in there, and every character has their own problems. Ashley Judd is functionally a meth addict, basically. She lost her son that she doesn't know is alive or dead, was like taken from her. And Michael Shannon was just a total like 5150 military guy. And the whole movie shows basically them denying reality because they found this microscopic problem that nobody else really sees. And that is, I know people like that, sadly. Like, it's not even like that's a completely wrong depiction of somebody. I know some people that you'll be talking like conspiracy theories with them, and then they're like, you're like, yeah, but like you're kind of different than me about that. Like, it's just you're using this to shape why you haven't done anything in life, and so, but I think they like, if you were to bring this up, or me, if I bring it up to like a normie lib, especially like the boomer Gen X tier, if I say like, yeah, it's kind of weird that a pipe burst on election night. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird that happened. They immediately go to the Michael Shannon ripping his fucking molars out with the thing to find the bugs in his teeth. And it is very Scanner Darkly. I didn't even put that together. It is totally like Scanner Darkly, where you're just like the whole time you're like, are the bugs real? Like, are the bugs real? And like, we know that in this case, it's like probably not. Yeah. But I gotta ask, Jared, the drugs, do you ever get like real delusions like that on drugs? Like, I mean, you had talked about it in the last time. You've had some pretty crazy moments, but like, does it ever get to like a narrative like that? I always think about that when I see the homeless people like yelling in the street and stuff. Like, I'm like, are they like dropping bars right now? Like in their head, like in the scene, are they like alphaing somebody? Like, is it all just like a scene set in a movie where it sounds weird to me, but like they're winning?
Yeah. Listen, with meth, at least when I first started doing it, the first month was like, it was like a movie. I mean, I was having auditory hallucinations, which is almost more frightening than visual hallucinations, because you're hearing the voice of your loved ones or people or your neighbors, and you're Jason Bourne. I mean, you are just in it, and it is incredibly thrilling and fun. But a lot of people sort of eventually conquer meth, and they can sort of overcome that for the most part and sort of normalize, but not really at the same time. I mean, it is kind of like, I've jumped out of windows because I just thought people were banging on my bedroom door trying to come in, the police or, the CIA or whatever. But that's what's unique about meth is usually you hallucinate your friends or your family are trying to kill you, or there's a massive conspiracy, whereas cocaine is so strictly the police. I mean, it is so strictly the FBI, the CIA, and the police, which is fascinating that cocaine drives you in that direction. And I've always wanted to like get a time machine and go to like a caveman and like give him crack cocaine and see what because there's no like forms of authority back in caveman. I guess animal, like wild beasts. I don't know, but it's a very unique form of paranoia in comparison to meth. And that's what I like. This movie sort of hints that she's on drugs. It's not direct. There's two shots with a pipe that looks kind of like a sort of like a bubbler meth pipe, but it could be a weed pipe.
Yeah.
And there's lines of cocaine. So it's
the guy, right, the Dr. Sweet character that comes in, he does say like, you hit that thing often.
Yeah.
And she's like, as often as I please, like that. And I mean, to me, I thought like, okay, she's smoking the crystal.
For sure. It's just, I like that he leaves it a little open-ended, and that's more of a crack pipe. The way that he hits it, I mean, crystal is not
true
with direct flame, and now listen, Friedkin could just have gotten that wrong, in a lot of movies.
Maybe he's not a meth expert.
Yeah, well, because in movies you'll see people smoking crack, but they have a meth pipe, and it's like that's just a mistake. So did he make a mistake, or was she smoking crack? Because because there was cocaine use. So I figure, okay, I think she's smoking crack.
Oh, that'd be a great YouTube venture for you, like the mobster guys that like talk about mob movies and how real they are. Like, you should do that for drug movies. Like, dude, that's not how you smoke meth, dude. Come on. Yeah. But yeah, no, I love the ambiguity of it because, like I said, I view it ultimately as like this is how these people see these like millennial generations. Like the millennial, it's made in 2006. I can see like Tracy Letts just being like, dude, I got this nephew who's just like out of his rocker. He thinks 9/11 was done by, an inside job and stuff. And I could totally, but then he probably has a drug habit. So it's really this, I could see that happening, but also you're kind of like, well, what if they are targeted by this shit? Like what if like Michael Shannon, he's his character, Peter, is actually escaped, running away from people who were doing like military experiments on him, which that is a thing that does happen. And you're kind of, and he's like, yeah, they put the bugs in me, like, and stuff, and they had sex, right? So like they're thinking like they transferred bugs over to each other. The Ashley Judd character completely buys into it after a while. And but then like you start seeing the sores, right? The picking at the face. I do tend to think like they are on drugs. I
wonder if Michael Shannon was on drugs, but you make a great point. Now Tracy Letts wrote this play in 1996, I believe.
Oh, so maybe not.
And this is what's fascinating, because in 1996, that was almost like an accurate way to, or a very acceptable way to view anyone that brought up any sort of conspiracy theory, because things were fucking normal in the 90s. And then obviously 9/11 happens, and that's the beginning of like, my uncle told me some crazy shit about 9/11. And then obviously we get into 2016, 2020 or whatever, and it's much more normalized now. But so it's interesting because 2006 was kind of a time post 9/11 where it's still, you could not just like tell anybody that you thought 9/11 was odd.
Now I tried it once in 2006 to my mom. I was like, that just seems weird. I heard it was an inside job, and she was just like, she like almost pulled the e-brake on the car while she was driving. It was just like, no. Like she's like, no. And it was weird. It was strange.
Such a dumb thing to hit your wagon too. Like, no, it was real. It's like, oh, okay,
Or they're like, it was the Saudis, and like it was just like, or whatever. Like it was any of these like people, and it was just like, okay, but now it's like almost fundamentally accepted. Like, don't talk about it, don't be weird, but like something happened.
But some New York people are not chill with it.
No, they're not. I get that.
Like they can't. They're like they'll attack you. I mean,
I get that.
Violent, but I'm not. I saw Zeitgeist at Santa Cruz in like 2007, and it fucked me. And it permanently changed my life. And I know that's a lame thing to say, but like,
no, it was a game wrecker. It was a game. Like it was just a big wrecking ball to your head. I mean, especially for me, like I saw it on a really dusty, like one of those big Zenith TVs that's like 6,000 pounds. Like in a college frat house, dude. And I saw that, and I was, sitting on like a Mounds bar, or like underneath me and stuff. And I was like, you know what, dude? I got this. Like I got this, but I also don't got this. Like, am I going to be okay? And it's weird. Like it is like the movie is like almost like this red pill. And at the end they light themselves on fire. I mean, like they light themselves on fire because they keep hearing like this thunder. Is it real? Helicopters outside. Is Dr. Sweet even a real person?
That's another question. Is
Dr. Sweet a real person? Because he hits the weird pipe, which is like would make you think like that's not just a doctor. A doctor wouldn't just walk in and hit a meth pipe. One, is he actually there? And two, is he just some tweaker from the motel that is like running game on them? You know what I mean? Like that's just like, I'm gonna come in and like see what you're doing, and do you have any crystal or anything like that? So like it's extremely well done, and everything, pretty much everything Friedkin's done. Like I mean, Cruising, all that stuff is just top tier. I mean, Exorcist, all that stuff is top tier. But him delving into like these plays and really executing what I think is like a fun like movie to debate, because like two people will see this movie a completely different way. And I can see why people don't like it, because they're just like, you don't really get closure. People love closure. People love like, oh, we found out that it was this, and then they show a montage of all the times you thought it was something else, but it really wasn't. And
there's closure. I love you. It's a love story. I love you at the end.
Very good point.
That's how I saw it.
It's like the It's like The Notebook. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, dude. Yeah.
Just The Notebook.
I
Yeah.
think it's largely about mental illness and also the factor of mental illness being contagious sometimes.
Yeah.
When someone is like codependent
100%.
and lonely, because I've been there where, especially on drugs, when someone is just way crazier than you and it just seems fun and you're like, I got no one else in this world right now and I'm just jumping onto your train of crazy.
Yeah.
And it is just, it's almost, there's like a romance to it. But listen, this is a perfectly directed movie. Harry Connick Jr. surprise of
It's great.
maybe the century. I mean, just like, I love his role in this. Michael Shannon, breakout star from this. Well, not really. He's kind of like a character actor, I guess. But man, did he do a fucking good job. And Ashley Judd was like oddly hot.
Agreed. I struggled with that. I was like, why is this the best? Like why? Like it's never was like, it was just kind of like this says a lot about me right now that I'm like, into that. It's just really funny. Like it's really funny. But like you bring up a good point about Harry Connick Jr. in there. Harry Connick Jr. He has that line where like when RC, the girl, comes back into the house and like they're kind of, it's like when like the most people are in a room at one time and he's just like, well, you still friends with that girl? She took that big old shit off the balcony like that. And I was like, damn, that's Harry Connick Jr.
Yeah, it might be his only role. I've never seen him in a movie.
No, he's in stuff.
He's in movies. Okay,
dude, he's in the Iron Giant, like as a voiceover. He's in a lot of. He's got a decent like, and of course he did this. He's most famous, I think, film wise for his score for When Harry Met Sally. I guess I don't know. That was his score. Like it was
Harry Connick Jr. did the score for When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's crazy. And yeah, it's crazy. So no, he's been around. He's been around. He's like a good-looking guy. It's pretty easy to be like, hey, good in the movie, and he's just like a jazz, like Michael Bublé ass dude, like he's just like one of those type of guys.
And Rob Reiner, like obviously you want to hate Rob Reiner, but like I do like When Harry Met Sally, and there is this thing where like I love a director like Paul Schrader, like I just love a director that I would hate talking to.
Oh, I mean, Michael Shannon. I love Michael Shannon. I love anytime Michael Shannon comes in and does Michael Shannon things in a movie. He played George Jones in this not great Tammy Wynette, George Jones thing. Not great, but he was phenomenal, and she was phenomenal too. Jessica Chastain in the George Jones, Tammy Wynette thing. But Michael, dude, you want to talk about Michael Shannon? You want to talk about a person I would never want to talk to? He had this weird like epic like dunk on Trump voters one time that was so shocking and strange. Like, no, I don't feel like nobody noticed this except me. I just saw it in a random clipping during Trump, like peak Trump just got elected scenario, and like that was when like the lib celebrities wanted to be like, this is your fault and your fault and your fault, and they were just like doing like Oprah, like you get a car type shit. And so like Michael Shannon was just like, and if you don't want to, if you voted for Trump, I don't care if you're my fucking family, you should just die. Like old people, hurry up and die so we can save the world. Like he was just like one of those like really weird guys. And I was like, dude, I just watched you punishing yourself for like in Boardwalk Empire, whipping yourself with a fucking belt on the back because you thought a girl was hot. Like that's how I want to see Michael Shannon. That's less crazy. His bug stuff is like it's almost not as crazy as like his weird Trump derangement syndrome. He's like feral about it. It's scary. And he dresses in like those like really corny like Hawaiian shirts, like that like he wears those now, and I'm like,
boy.
Yeah, like he's waiting for like Andy Samberg to do a music video with him or something. And I'm like, dude, please just stick to being a fucking weird creep, like in a movie. Like just you have the perfect face to be a weird creep in a movie. Just do it. Like I don't want to hear your opinion on anything else. But he does bring up in this movie, they do bring up the conspiracy theory for the Bilderberg group, which was just a throwback. I hadn't heard that one in forever. That was like one of the first ones. That was the Zeitgeist. I think that was one of the big Zeitgeist ones.
For sure, it was in there. Yeah,
early Bohemian Grove, Alex Jones, like that was all.
Kid Rock talking about Bohemian Grove.
No, I heard him. I tried to do the Kid Rock thing, and I'm like, God damn, dude! Like this guy's
kind of like not cool to listen.
He's not cool at all. Yeah. I was like, because I wanted him to be like him and Joe Dirt, but like like funny and stuff.
Great
like,
role, great performance,
magnificent. Jeez. I thought, but I just kind of wanted him to be like the conservative guy like that. But then I was like, this guy was just like, I think we should just bomb fucking Palestine, dude.
Yeah,
She's
that
just
was crazy.
yeah, it was just crazy. I was like, damn, dude, like that was nuts. But yeah, what did Kid Rock say?
Well, he was like, I went to Bohemian Grove, and he was like, there were so
Oh,
many
God.
famous people, and he was like, it was actually pretty laid back, and we just like we burned an effigy, and it was kind of like not that weird.
Oh, of course, it wasn't weird. I mean, like, no, the thing is, like, you go to when those Bohemian Grove like Eyes Wide Shut things, like, there's like the Tom Cruise guy is the outlier that thinks it's like weird. For the
Yeah.
most part, everyone's just like, oh, this isn't nearly as bad as they thought, and they're like, we've got you on blackmail, actually. So,
Yeah.
you know, like, actually, we actually superimposed you burning a child.
Yeah.
So that you thought that was a lechon that you were putting over the fire? No. But yeah, that's how they get you in. I'm sure those like the World Economic Forum every year when I see it, it looks fun.
Yeah.
Like the summit, the Davos one, I'm like, that's probably sick.
Like the music acts they put on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like imagine getting that gig, dude. You're playing for Davos or some shit.
Dude, you know they have like a cinnamon toast crunch like milkshake concoction with like a Choco Taco sticking out of it, and like you go there and you're just like, oh, U2's playing right now. Like this is sick.
Yeah.
Like this could be okay. Like this could be there's way weirder meetups, you know. And so like those things are probably way cool. Like the people, the Michael Shannon conspiracy and bug types, like they have to make it sound scarier, which I mean, it is scary ultimately. I just mean like the actual meetup is probably sick.
Yeah. Well, I've heard that Bohemian Grove is actually like pretty chill, and it's not like what Alex Jones says it was. You know, it's just kind of a bunch of lame dudes in the woods or whatever. But Bilderberg, I don't know about Bilderberg. I don't know any, but I remember hearing about that was like the OG conspiracy. And
the Bilderberg, yeah.
And then Timothy McVeigh getting, that's a fascinating thing to dive into, the Timothy McVeigh stuff. And
wasn't he running? No, I'm thinking Timothy Leary. I was thinking Timothy Leary. I was just reading about him running for governor of California. That's why that popped.
Oh, really?
Oh, back in the day, yeah. John Lennon wrote. John Lennon wrote. What's the song? One of the songs. Oh, come together. Yeah, come together was supposed to be a Timothy Leary campaign song.
Oh shit!
It's crazy. It's crazy. And then like Timothy Leary's like, I'm just not feeling it, dude. Like, and then Lennon's like, well, fine, yeah, I'll just make my song then. Yeah, but yeah, we know Bug is very good. It was on Tubi. It's not anymore. It was. I remember the first time I saw it was on.
It is. I watched it on Tubi, like because I looked for it and then I couldn't find it, and then I just voice searched it and it pulled up Tubi. At least for me, it was like free. So I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you know, yeah, check it out. It's fun. It's a quick watch. It's interesting. Like I said, I love these like open interpretation movies. And so Jarrett, tell me before we let you go, tell me about your book. I know you can't just write a book and put it out. Like, yeah, it takes time, even when you're done with it and stuff. So like, what do we got to look forward to this year?
Well, it happened. I got the book deal. I got a deal with Post Hill Press. Basically, like I couldn't get a book deal because I'm a nobody and I wrote a memoir, and that's very difficult to, get a book deal. It took me years, and then I eventually got this thing where I went on Fox News, and that got the ears listening of like more conservative outlets. And I don't consider myself like a conservative or liberal really, but
no.
I got a conservative outlet. My editor actually was the editor on the Bell Curve. So I don't know if you know that book.
I do. I haven't read it, but yeah, I was gonna say that's interesting.
It is interesting. He's a pretty chill guy. He's like, listen, I'm not like a fan of the Bell Curve. I like to publish controversial.
He's like, I just cared about the pacing of it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make that thing pop. You know, I wanted.
Well, he's like, I just like controversial books. I'm going to take a chance with you. So I got a book deal. It comes out July 8th. It's called Crooked Smile, which sounds like a lame name, but it's a reference to a thing that happened to me involving my smile and how it's crooked now. So there is a reason for it. And we're going to, I think it's available for pre-order on Amazon mid-March.
Okay.
Michael Schellenberger wrote the forward for it. You know, Michael Schellenberger, he's kind
of
big time now. And it's a funny memoir about drug addiction and homelessness. My parents were crackheads and all that growing up in the crack house. And then also it's a policy critique of current, American policies and specifically Bay Area policies regarding homelessness and addiction, and proposed solutions that aren't conservative. They aren't liberal. They're really just common sense
solutions.
They're not heartless. It's actually kind of some would argue that it was like it's a big government sort. I mean, I just want publicly funded drug treatment and some enforcement of laws and just a long-term plan to get people off drugs and then get life worth living with a way to make a living and all that. So it's a fun book. It's coming out. We'll see what happens. I'll release the cover pretty soon in like 2 weeks. We decided on a cover, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I mean that's gonna be great. And yeah, so no, it's been a wild. A lot's happened since we last talked to you. You've moved. Your book was, we weren't sure about the book, so I'm glad that's trending in the right direction. I'm like that. I'm excited for it because I mean you're so open about your experience and have a sense of humor about it, which is always nice. Like it's always so sad, even though you totally get it when people are talking about things that are quite, I hate to use the capital T trauma word because I don't know what that means anymore. But trauma, that's happened, and people just can't. You could tell they still haven't processed it because they can't laugh at anything.
Yeah,
and so that's always nice to see. So we'll be on the lookout for that, and we'll have to have you on when it. I mean, at that point you're going to be on Rogan, so you'll forget about these.
I don't know. I mean, I hope, but that's a big stretch. But I got 3 people writing blurbs that have been on Rogan.
Oh, you're going to be on Rogan.
I got Eddie Bravo, Sam Tripoli, and then Michael Schellenberger's been on it. He's writing the board. I'm trying to get Tim Dillon and Matt McCusker to write blurbs. What
was the first guy you said?
Oh, Sam Tripoli.
No, before wasn't there someone?
Oh, Eddie Bravo.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that I can get on there and see if I'm taller than Joe Rogan.
That would be sick. Yeah. Well, first off, if I was a betting man, which I would never. If I was a betting man, I would bet that I'll say by August, Jared's on Joe Rogan. Clip this. I'll clip this. I'll clip this. I'll say, Jared, this is what are we? February 26th.
Yeah.
2024. Jared's gonna be on Rogan this year.
Would he be our first connect? I think he would.
Yeah, and then he would be like, yeah, and I've been on some podcasts in the past. And I disavow them all. Just those weird. I was just testing stuff out there. Those guys are weird, but
no. Listen, I'll get on there. I'm going to shout out Rare Candy. I love Rare Candy. I thank you guys at the end of the day. They have me on twice now. I listen to every episode.
Anytime.
This is a great podcast. I'm going to share it. I'm glad that it's growing. You guys got me through the sort of like end of the pandemic era, and remember Fed Post? Remember that podcast Fed Post?
I remember.
I think that's how I found Rare Candy.
A lot of people do. Yeah. Some people hated our appearance on there. Some people hated our appearance on there, and some people have have found us from there and have stayed there. You know what I mean? It's weird.
It's Fed Post weird.
No, I mean, still friends with Slav and COH. They're good guys. It's really funny. Like we went on there one time, and we'd gone on a couple times. I think individually we'd gone on, and one time we came on, we talked about COVID. It was like boom, boom, like everybody loved it. It was playing the hits, and then one time we went on and talked about aliens for 2 hours, and everyone was like, "That was the gayest episode I've ever heard." Like they're fans. I don't think they're fans.
The sickest fucking podcast.
Oh, I loved it. It was so much fun. And then the people that came from there are like, "Oh no, I've been rocking ever since." So I'm like, "Well, that's fine. We've we brought some people over from that." So that's all. I always love when I hear that people came from there because I just laugh. I just remember people like, "Who were those fucking losers?" And I was like, well.
And a lot of it was the logo. I mean, the logo really drew me in. I mean, obviously it was you guys, but then
it's
the logo. I was like, oh shit, I really like the logo, and
it matters.
And I'm happy, and I want to come back, and this is great. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it makes a great watermark. I think we're gonna watermark all our photos now, just so nobody steals them.
Do that.
Just nobody gets their lawyers out on us or anything. The people in the 831 area code, not naming any names.
Up the bear, man. Where's the lawsuit? I'm
waiting. I'm waiting. We're supposed to get sued by the Clint Eastwood fan page. We're supposed to be getting sued.
Oh, really?
We're supposed to get probably a cease and desist, and I'm pretty sure it'll be fucking handwritten by this guy, some weird carrier
why?
page.
Shout out, shout out Mac though for showing that they're actually stealing photos.
I'll say why, but I want people to go to our Substack feed. You know, just business wise. We did talk about it, but I'll say it now. We I went on the Clint Eastwood page. I am a massive Clint Eastwood fan, and always have been. But I went on one time and they said, this is the official Clint Eastwood fan page. Here's a video of him shouting us out. And if you get your Clint Eastwood content anywhere else, just know it's not authentic. It's a picture of him at a grocery store. Whatever. And I said, that's funny. Like, because I think the real official fan page should follow his biggest fan, like me. That dude, Boomer's chimping out, like just like wrecking, like throwing their apartment, like just like bug, like lighting themselves on fire, like they were just going crazy. It was within seconds, and look, nothing happened for a while. Then all of a sudden, we released an episode where I documented my experience in that time, and all I did was say in the episode teaser, like on Twitter, Clint Eastwood fan page. I didn't tag them or anything. Within minutes, these people were on me. They're like, you'll be hearing from my lawyer. You cannot disparage us. Clint would not like this and stuff. So we're in a battle from them. I haven't heard from any lawyers yet, though. That's the thing. It's like, dude, we're gonna be petty about it. Like you don't understand. Like we're gonna start watermarking like them, like their own tweets with our logos. Like it's these people are in. One guy claims to be the head of the security of Warner Brothers.
Okay. And also his Clint Eastwood's caddy at Pebble Beach. And it's like, you're not, dude. I know you're not. I know you're lying.
You're lying. And I just said, like, you're a liar. That's not like you just run a fan page. Like, it's fine. That's cool. I don't doubt that you've ran into him a few times. Like, of course. But anyways, that's going to become a thing. We've documented. There's about a 10-12 minute segment on our latest Substack episode. So everyone go check that out. But Jared, follow him on Twitter at Jared Klickstein. I love his last name because it sounds like something I would make up when our episodes get throttled. That the Klickstein, the Klicksteins got us this time. He's cooler than the he's cooler than the Krasensteins. I'll tell you that much. Cooler than those guys. Yeah, because I don't
use my name in vain. You can use it, you can, of course.
Well, I like you because you can take a dang joke, man. Like some people, it's like, Jesus, man. Like I have, please, like you're one of the guys, like this is funny. But like, no, the last name, I always in my head, I'm just like, the Klickstein's got me again. So, anyways, on that note, guys, everyone have a safe week. Catch you guys next time.
Thank you.